turning back toward them. They think they can control the blaze, direct it toward others, and walk away untouched. But life has been designed by God in such a way that every seed produces after its own kind. You cannot plant thorns and expect roses. You cannot sow betrayal and expect loyalty. You cannot ignite pain in someone else's life and expect peace to rest in your own house. Karma is not random. It is the echo of your own actions returning with the same intensity you released them. And when you light that fire with your own hands, you create a covenant with consequence. You may escape human judgment for a season. You may hide from the eyes of the crowd, but you cannot hide from the law that God has woven into the fabric of the universe. Every act, every word, every intention is a seed, and seeds never remain underground forever. They push through the soil in due season, and the fruit they bear will be the exact reflection of what was planted. Some people think time erases the evidence of wrongdoing. But time is not an eraser. It's a magnifier. It stretches the distance just enough for the roots to grow deep before the harvest comes. This is why the ones who cause harm often look like they're thriving for a while. They smile, they flaunt, they even boast, as if they are untouchable. But underneath the surface, the roots of their own choices are tightening, wrapping around their life, drawing the day of reckoning closer with every breath. God's justice is not always immediate, but it is always exact. He is not in a hurry because he is eternal, and eternity does not rush. While they are busy running thinking they have outrun consequence, they do not realize that they are running in a circle. And when the circle closes, they will face the same fire they set, except this time it will be greater than they can bear. You must understand the universe holds receipts. Words spoken in secret are recorded. Actions done in the shadows are witnessed by light. They can cover their tracks from people, but they cannot cover them from truth. Truth has no expiration date. It can wait 10 days or 10 years, but it will always show up. Sometimes gently, sometimes like a storm that tears the roof off the house in the middle of the night. And when that storm comes, it does not just visit the place where the fire was lit. It finds the very hands that struck the match. Because God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sws, that shall he also reap. You cannot sow chaos and expect calm. You cannot create wounds and expect healing to be your portion. If you strike at others, prepare for the strike to return, often sharper, often stronger, because life multiplies whatever you give it. This is why the wise God, their words, their intentions, and their actions, they understand that every choice is a mirror that will one day reflect back at them. The unwise think they are free when they harm others, not realizing they are binding themselves to the very consequence they wish to avoid. They can move to another city, change their appearance, rewrite their story for the world. But the truth walks without tiring, and karma does not lose direction. When you walk in integrity, you never have to look over your shoulder. But when you sow harm, you will always live with the shadow of your own actions following you, and the shadow never stops. It waits for the moment when the light shifts just right, and then it stands in full view. The greatest tragedy for those who light the is not just the destruction it causes others, it's the fact that the same fire will one day burn everything they thought would protect them. That is the unchanging law God has set in motion. You cannot outrun what you set into motion with your own hands. Every seed produces after its own kind. This is not merely a poetic saying. It is a divine law woven into the fabric of creation. You cannot plant bitterness and expect joy to bloom. You cannot scatter lies and anticipate a harvest of truth. Whatever you release into the soil of life will return to you in the same nature you sent it out. That is why farmers never sow wheat expecting apples, and why those who understand life's spiritual mechanics guard what they plant with both hands and both eyes. The soil does not discriminate. It does not say this is a good person, I will give them different fruit. No, the soil reflects the seed. Life reflects the action. Destiny reflects the choices you make in secret and in public. Some people believe that the intention behind a wrong act can soften its consequence. They think, I didn't mean to harm them that much. As if life calculates outcomes based on excuses. But the The seed you plant determines your harvest. Principle is unbending. The seed is the seed. If it carries poison, the harvest will carry poison. And if it carries life, the harvest will carry life. Just as you cannot expect sweet fruit from a tree that grew from a bitter seed, you cannot expect blessings from actions that were rooted in deceit, selfishness, or cruelty. The nature of the seed governs the destiny of the harvest. There are those who look at someone else's garden and envy the abundance they see, not realizing that what they are witnessing is the product of years of sowing patience, kindness, and truth. Then there are those who see weeds and thorns in their own field and cry injustice without acknowledging that they were the ones who scattered those seeds in the first place. The harvest is not a mystery, it is simply the revelation of hidden planting. What you see in your life today is not random. It is the result of yesterday's sowing. This is why the wise understand the power of small decisions. A seed is small, often overlooked, almost insignificant when it is first placed in the ground. But hidden within that seed is an entire future. One act of kindness can grow into a forest of favor just as one act of betrayal can spread into a wilderness of pain. And the danger of negative seeds is that they rarely stay small. They grow roots deep into the soil of your character. And those roots will eventually break the surface for everyone to see. When someone deliberately sows harm into another person's life, they are not simply wounding that person. They are planting in their own future. They are building a harvest they themselves will have to walk through one day. It may be far away, but seasons always change. Winter will not last forever, and neither will the illusion that bad seeds will stay buried. Life does not allow you to skip the harvest. You can deny it, delay it, or distract yourself from it, but you cannot escape it. If you plant thorns, you will one day walk barefoot through them. If you plant mercy, you will one day drink from its shade. This is why the law of sowing and reaping is one of the most sobering realities in existence. It holds every person accountable whether they believe in it or not. The dangerous thing about this law is its patience. Because the seed does not produce overnight, many assume nothing is happening. They say, "Look, I caused damage and nothing came back to me," forgetting that seeds take time to grow. The roots often spread quietly before the first leaf ever appears. And when it does appear, it is usually too late to stop the process. You cannot uproot the harvest when it is in full bloom. You must deal with it long before that at the seed stage. That is why guarding your actions, thoughts, and words is not just about morality. It is about self-preservation. You are sowing into your own tomorrow every single day. If you choose cruelty today, you are setting the table for your own bitterness tomorrow. If you choose honor today, you are preparing a feast of peace for your future. There is no middle ground. The field never lies. In the end, the truth is simple. What you plant, you will see again. Not in someone else's life, not in some distant corner where you can ignore it, but in your own path where you will have to face it with your own eyes. This is why every seed matters, because the day will come when the soil gives it back to you. And it will be exactly the kind you put in the ground. Karma is the echo of your own actions. It is the sound of your choices calling back to you, carrying the same tone, the same pitch, and the same intensity you sent into the world. You cannot whisper cruelty and expect a melody of kindness to return. You cannot shout injustice and expect the answering voice to be gentle. Life is a perfect mirror. It sends back what you give, not what you wish you had given. This is not superstition. It is a principle woven into the very laws that govern existence. Every word, every gesture, every decision leaves a vibration in the atmosphere of your life. Even when you think no one noticed, the echo begins forming. It may start soft, so faint you can ignore it. But as it travels, it gathers strength. When it finally returns, it is rarely alone. It comes back carrying the weight of every moment you added to it. That is why someone who sends out harm will often face it multiplied, because echoes grow louder as they return. This is why you must understand that nothing you do disappears. You may forget an act you committed in haste or anger, but the world remembers. The record is kept not on paper but in the fabric of life itself. The energy you give out does not vanish. It circles back searching for the one who released it. Just as you cannot throw a stone into water without creating ripples, you cannot send an action into life without creating consequences. And those ripples, no matter how far they travel, always know the way home. People who misunderstand this law believe they can escape it by moving on quickly, by distracting themselves, or by building new layers over the old foundation. But the echo does not lose direction. It may be delayed, but it is never erased. In fact, the longer it travels, the more force it gathers. And when it finally arrives, it often hits with a strength far greater than when it left your hands. It works the same in goodness as in harm. When you extend kindness, without expecting anything in return, that kindness still makes its way back to you, sometimes from a completely unexpected source. A word of encouragement spoken today may be the very reason a door opens for you years later. Likewise, a deceitful action taken today may be the very reason a door slams shut in your face when you need it most. Life responds to what you give it, not just in quantity, but in quality. The danger is in thinking that intention can cancel action. You may tell yourself, "I didn't mean for it to hurt." But the echo is not shaped by intention. It is shaped by the sound you made. If your actions sent out pain, then pain will be the note that returns, regardless of what you meant to play. This is why responsibility is so important. It demands that you think not just about what you want now, but about what will come back later. There is a reason so many people are caught off guard by their own harvest. They lived as if the world was deaf, as if their actions dissolved into nothingness once done. They underestimated the memory of life. But life hears everything. Life records everything. And when it speaks back to you, it uses your own voice, your own words, your own choices. The echo is not a stranger. It is you returning. For the wise, this is not a threat, but a promise. It means that even in the face of betrayal, you can choose to respond with honor, knowing the echo of your actions, karma unveiled, that the echo will eventually carry honor back to you. It means that you can give mercy even when you are wronged, trusting that one day mercy will find you when you need it most. But for the foolish, this law is a trap of their own making. They light fires and expect the wind to blow in another direction, forgetting that the same wind can change and bring the flames back to their doorstep. The echo is impartial. It does not favor the rich or the poor, the known or the unknown. It only knows the truth of what was given. And when it returns, it demands that you face yourself. Not the image you project to the world, but the real self who made the choice in the first place. That meeting can be a moment of joy or a moment of reckoning, depending entirely on what you have sent out into the world. When you remember that karma is the echo of your own actions, you begin to live with intention. You measure your words not out of fear but out of wisdom. You choose your deeds not because you are calculating a reward, but because you understand that life will eventually hand you the receipt for whatever you've spent. And when that day comes, you will have to read it line by line, knowing it was written by your own hand. Time does not erase wrongdoing. It is not a sponge that soaks up the stains of our actions and makes them vanish. Time is a magnifier. It stretches events far enough away for people to forget the details. But in that distance, the roots of consequence grow deeper and stronger. Wrongdoing does not dissolve with the passing of days. It matures. It develops. It waits for its appointed season to reveal itself in full. This is why some people seem untouched for years after causing harm. And yet one day everything unravels in a single moment. The seed they planted did not disappear. It was simply waiting for the right conditions to bloom. We live in a world where many confuse delay with escape. When days turn into weeks and weeks into years, they start to believe they have outrun the results of what they did. They mistake silence for absolution. But silence is not forgiveness, and absence of immediate consequence is not the absence of consequence. The laws that govern life are patient, and patience often disguises itself as mercy. But patience is also the stage on which justice prepares its performance. Think of a tree. When it first sprouts, it is fragile, hidden among the grass, easily overlooked. But as years pass, its trunk thickens, Its branches spread, and its roots reach deep into the ground. Actions are much the same. At the moment they are committed, they may seem small. An unkind word, a dishonest choice, a betrayal carried out quietly. But given time, those actions develop a life of their own. They produce outcomes that grow larger and more complex than the original act until one day they stand before you in full form, impossible to ignore. Time's role in this process is to make sure that when the harvest comes, it matches the fullness of the seed's potential. This is why some people are shocked at the scale of the consequences they face years later. They remember the act as a small thing, but they do not realize that the act has been multiplying while they were busy with other parts of their life. Time multiplies what you plant. It never deletes it. Those who understand this truth live differently. They do not mistake a quiet season for a clean record. They know that what is hidden today may stand in the center of the stage tomorrow with the lights of truth shining on it for all to see. And so, they guard themselves. They measure their choices. They consider what will happen not only tomorrow but years from now. Those who ignore this truth live in a false peace. They convince themselves the storm has passed simply because the sky is clear. They do not realize that the clouds have only moved beyond the horizon, gathering strength. They laugh in the sunshine, forgetting that the seeds they buried will one day break the ground. That moment will come suddenly, though it has been building silently for years. Time has a way of amplifying the truth. It gives lies enough space to tangle themselves, and it gives truth enough room to stand unshaken. You cannot trick time into losing the trail of your actions. Every step you have taken is recorded in the soil of life, and time is the caretaker of that soil. It waters the seeds daily whether you planted them in kindness or cruelty, and it does so without prejudice. This is why those who act unjustly should never be too quick to celebrate. Their victory is temporary and their comfort is borrowed. Time is not in their debt. It is their creditor waiting to collect at the moment of maturity. And when that moment comes, it will not matter how far they have traveled or how much they have changed their surroundings. The harvest will find them. The sobering reality is that time itself is not on the side of those who do wrong. It is the silent witness, the patient recorder, the relentless multiplier. It does not shout, it does not warn, but it never forgets. And when the season changes, it will bring to the surface everything that has been growing beneath. Whether that harvest is one of peace or one of pain depends entirely on the seeds planted long ago. The clock is not erasing, it is counting down. God's justice is exact, not rushed. It is not swayed by emotion, distracted by noise, or pressured by time. It moves with a precision that is both frightening and beautiful. While people demand immediate results, either to see the guilty punished or the innocent vindicated, God works on an eternal scale. He does not act according to the impatience of human hearts. He acts according to the perfection of his wisdom. Every detail, every thread, every connection is taken into account before his justice is revealed. This is why those who cause harm often believe they have escaped. They confuse God's patience with his absence. They think his silence is his approval. But silence is not approval. It is strategy. God does not rush because he is never late. He sees the beginning and the end in one glance. And when he chooses the moment to act, it is the moment that will leave no doubt, no loophole, and no chance for the guilty to claim they were misunderstood. His justice does not just arrive. It arrives in such a way that it cannot be undone. The nature of divine justice is that it is layered. While it seems nothing is happening on the surface, he is aligning circumstances, shaping hearts, and setting the stage. He knows that true justice is not simply about punishing wrongdoing. It is about revealing truth in such a way that everyone sees it for what it is. This is why his timing is perfect. When the curtain rises, there is no argument left, no shadow for the guilty to hide in, no confusion for the observers. God's justice often exposes the wrongdoer by their own hand. He allows them to continue for a season, to speak, to act, to believe they are in control, because in doing so, they weave the very net that will entangle them. Time magnifies consequences. When the moment of reckoning comes, it is not random tragedy that catches them. It is their own choices, returning to them under the direction of a higher order. This is why the downfall of the arrogant is often so précis.